The Phelps household is one member short, as wife and mother Lindsey fights for her life.
My toughest nights have been putting my oldest to bed and him asking when mommy's coming home, and I don't have good answers for him.
Lindsey was admitted to the hospital on April 25th for COVID. A few days later, losing consciousness. It would be 77 days until she would wake up again.
Had to be intubated and heavily sedated.
Lindsey needed an ECMO machine, her family finding an open bed at an Oklahoma hospital. As Texas Tech medical professor and chief of pulmonology, Dr. Victor Test explains, only dire cases need such machines.
It's typically reserved for the sickest of the sick. It does require a good deal of expertise. It requires a very vibrant blood bank.
Another complication hit the Phelps in OKC. Lindsey suffered a blood clot in her lung, causing her heart to pause, presenting a life or death question for her family.
The doctors in Oklahoma said they think it's time to let nature take its course and it's time to let her rest. And the family, we were all on the same page on it, about saying, no, we're not ready to let her rest. She's not ready to rest.
At this point, Lindsey needed a new set of lungs, but she was nowhere near strong enough to get them. After another search on social media, her family found hope, riding in on a stationary bike.
One of the family members actually reached out to a Peloton group, of all groups, on Facebook, and was able to make a connection there that got us to Chicago.
Monday will be 3 weeks that Lindsey's been here, and I flew in right after she did.
Family members like Lindsey's sister Erica have been by her side in a Windy City hospital, helping rebuild her strength.
She's very weak from being in a bed for 3 months, so try to move her hands and feet as much as possible. She's getting OT and PT coming in.
Every PT session is one hopefully closer to a transplant. As Hendrick respiratory therapist Bonnie Cox explains, a patient's journey doesn't necessarily get easier after surgery.
There is a risk of rejection and getting ill because you're so immunocompromised. What we have seen with our sickest patients that have required lung transplants, once they get the lung transplant, when they get back to Abilene to see us, they're doing great.
That compromised immunity is a huge concern for husband Kyle, as Lindsey could re-enter a world still struggling with COVID-19 and non-vaccinations.
She's going to be on these suppressants and anti-rejection drugs. She's not going to have the immunity to COVID or even the everyday things. People like you and I are fortunate enough to be able to choose whether or not we want to get vaccinated. Doesn't matter for Lindsey. The day I took Lindsey to the hospital, she was, she was coughing right there, right next to me in bed. And there's just absolutely no way I would have not got it. And I had just got my second vaccine a week before that. And so I feel that my vaccine saved me.
The future is still uncertain for this young family. And when you hear what Lindsey Phelps and her loved ones have endured, you really wonder what all a person can take.
We're all having to come to terms with the fact that she needs a double lung transplant in order to survive.
How a family can keep it together.
I don't want another parent to have to deal with that. I don't want another child to deal with that.
But it's the kindness of strangers.
Literally, we've had strangers handing us keys to their condos so we can stay here as long as possible.
And true grit of a family that paints the potential for a brighter day.
I'm thankful to still have her here.